tell. Cockerel, he's just a true guy. You'll have a true time. Tell. Cockerel, leave your troubles at the door. You know the game, you know the score. We're here to have fun, so holster that gun and read the writing on the wall. The predictions leak, done every week. It just goes on and 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 on. Why do I always get it wrong? Tell, Cockerel, he's just a chill guy. You'll have a chill time. Tell, Cockerel. Jose gets himself around, always talking Spurs wherever he is found, home or away. He always tips to win, throws the form book in the bin with a cheeky knowing grin. Tell, Cockerel, he's just a chill guy. You'll have a chill time. Tell, Cockerel. The Predictions League, done every week. It just goes on and on and on and on. Why do I always get it wrong? Every time I play along. Tell, Cockerel, the show is so chilled, your time is well filled. If you want good friendly chat, then here's where it's at. Tell, Cockerel. Goes on and 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 on. Why do I always get it wrong? Tell, Cockerel, the show is so chill, your time is well filled. If you want good friendly chat, then here's where it's at. Tell, Cockerel.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Tell Cockerel. Jose Chang talk Tottenham. Chang is around, and we have with us today the superb Blaine from Super Spurs TV. Finally, Blaine, we have you on. How are you, Blaine?
I'm very well, Jose. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for having my debut. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone out there.
Chang the man, how are you?
Doing very well on this lovely Sunday evening here in Southeast Asia. Today is Independence Day over here in the country of Malaysia, the 31st of August, 2025. I believe it is our 62nd year of independence. So we are celebrating it enthusiastically, and couldn't be happier today being back here with my family after a good 3 weeks now it's been away from home. The result yesterday against Bournemouth at home notwithstanding, it's been pretty fantastic. So without further ado, it's back to you, Senor Garcia.
Yeah, I was at the match yesterday, so I will have my opinions and thoughts on it. But for now, let's say hello to the people that are in the chat at the moment. Ed M says, morning, Jose and Chang. Soul said it best, back to life, back to reality. if people remember the song. Good morning, good afternoon, Jack. I hope you are well. Adrian. Good
Big up,
afternoon, Jose.
Adrian.
Ballin. He spelled your name wrong. Ballin and Chang. We
He's
know.
probably getting me back for something I've said in the chat, Jose.
And then you've got SJ says, good afternoon, gentlemen. I hope you're well. Let's lift our spirits from that bruising performance yesterday. So, yeah, well, yesterday we had a scoreline of Tottenham 0, Bournemouth 1. And the only thing that I can sum it up with, and it's a conversation for you guys, is a bad day at the office. How did you see the game, Blaine, from when you were watching it?
Bad day at the office is a good way to sum it up. I would say lifeless. We just didn't seem to want to pursue it throughout the whole game. I mean, once Bournemouth backed off in the final 20 and stopped their press, we looked to grow into the game. But before that, there was no battle. There was no spirit. We didn't seem to want to take the game to Bournemouth. I was really, really surprised by this because you look at all pre-season, the way Frank set up, and you look at the first two games and even the Super Cup, we got stuck in the tackle. We got stuck in across the pitch. Morning, Adrian. Don't know if he's on mute or not. Anyway, but yeah, we just seemed to not want to really, really push the agenda to Bournemouth, and we let them dictate the pace of the game, which you can point fingers at the manager, you can point fingers at the players. I think just all round, really, really poor performance. But draw a line in the sand. We need to move on, take the international break, come back against West Ham, and try and play them off the pitch. But anyway, that's just how I seen it. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree.
Chang, how did you see the game yesterday?
Well, I can only tell you what I saw in the first 10 minutes of the game that I was covering live over on Spurs Vision TV with Mr. Eugene. And I'm so very glad I missed the majority of the last hour and a half of it. From that first 10 minutes alone, I think it was clear for all to see that not only were we not going to be scoring, we just couldn't get back into the game. And I did have a look at the statistics this morning, and I was aghast, really, by the gulf in difference in terms of the shots on target and also the attempts on goal. But nonetheless, it still is a good time for us to pick up this first loss of the season. It's also a very good time to concede our first and only goal of the season thus far. And hopefully, this wake-up call would be the one that pushes through whatever further signings we have lined up for the remainder 48 hours. I think it's been left of the transfer window, the next 2 days. So hopefully, it will be plain as day for all to see. The attacking midfield role, the creativity midfield, as well as possibly a backup for Bissouma, assuming that loan does materialize. Those are the things that we need to address. So, yes, I would take that defeat on the chin, but onwards and upwards, it's become a habit now. It's already become a habit for us to lose right before a mini international break. I read somewhere that this is our ninth consecutive defeat just before a mini international break. So there is some. As luck would have had it, we are the bane of Manchester City, but the mini international break is also our own bane in the league. So hopefully this gets corrected before the next mini international break. My final thoughts on it. Bad day in the office. As already mentioned earlier at the beginning of the show, but onwards and upwards, and hopefully, we will see improvement in future league matches. Having said that, back to you, Senor Garcia.
Adrian, just before I bring you in, let me catch up with the chat. So Nate the Ape says, good afternoon, gents, good evening and morning to Chang. SJ says that Bournemouth are a good side. We shouldn't beat ourselves up too much about it. Blaine saying hello to everyone. Big up the chat. Hope everyone's happy and healthy. Shem Tam is here. Good morning, Mr. Bad Luck Boss Man Jose. And the youngest looking old man, Mr. Chimichanga Chang, and the esteemed panel. I hope you are well. Well, yesterday brought us all back down to earth with a thump. Shem Tam sent me a message on one of my videos because I did some shorts from the ground, and reminded me that I'm a bad luck omen because the first time Tottenham have lost when I've been at the stadium, yesterday I've always seen us win, and yesterday was the first defeat at the stadium. Wayne Bonner says, "Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're all well. We were going to lose at some point. For me, we were poor, but we lost to the better team." And the Nape is saying yes, and losing after beating City is also one of our things. It's interesting, Adrian, because last night on the way home on the train, we had a quick 5-minute chat, 10-minute chat, if you like, about the game and what our thoughts were. And we were both there yesterday. It was a bad day at the office, Adrian. What are your thoughts? Because you
Yeah,
was there.
it was a stinker, wasn't it? I mean, like, it was a painful watch sitting in my seat. We just didn't turn up at all. Apart from that first minute when we broke. The only other two things you can mention was the Odebert shot over the bar, he should have kept down, and the through ball to Tell that just went wide. They both would have been cracking goals. On another day, we might have got something undeservedly. They deserved to win by at least 3 goals. I mean, Vicario, he pulled off some saves. If it wasn't for him, he's got his critics, but if it wasn't for him, that scoreline would have been. And actually, 1-0, it gives us a +4 goal difference. It means we'll go into the international break, right, 4th, no matter what the results are today. So 6 points is not a bad position to be in under a new manager. And we've all got a bit too carried away. So it is a reality check for us. And to add to Chang's stats about going into an international break on a loss, this is how many times we've beaten Man City. We've beaten Man City 9 times. And after every Man City win, we've lost a game. So it's another stat for you. But like, good to see you, Blaine, on. We try to get you on, but we go out too late for him. But I know just on that point that Ian's doing a show tomorrow at 5, a transfer show. So if you're about, let us know.
I'll give you a shout, Adrian.
Yeah.
So Blaine, before I come in, Blaine, just before we came on, Blaine was talking about some stats as well about this international break, the Man City and all stuff like that. So what did you say to me, Blaine, before the show?
It was what the guys have already said. It's 9 times consecutively since every time we've beaten City, we lose the next game. And you had said it's, I think, 11 or 12 times in a row before the international breaks. We won or lost our game, before we went out. It's like a monkey on our back. It's like a curse has been put onto the club. what have we got to do to break it?
Yeah. I was going to say, it's absolute madness. For me, I mean, I did it. I was doing shorts from the stadium yesterday, and at half time, I gave my thoughts. And the title of my short was Slow, 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 and add in slower, slower, and slower. And I said this to Adrian yesterday on the phone. That in the South Stand, he's seeing the game, right? You can see the whole of the pitch. I felt that every time Vicario got the ball, he slowed things down absolutely to a standstill. And I felt that their players on the press were reading where Vicario was going to play the ball anyway. Because Vicario, he wasn't looking for Romero this time. Most of the balls he played were to Van der Ven. And they were pressing. They were pressing in threes, like not 3 straight forward. They were, if you do the pitch in thirds, the left, centre, and the right, every third they put 3 players on the press to R2. It was always 3 players on the press. And if the ball went across, then someone would shuffle across to the next sector to still give them a 3-on-2 press. And it seemed to be all the time. We slowed everything. It was slow, slow, slow. And they read where we were going to play the ball. And I still get very, very nervous. And I know it's the way football's played at the moment, but I get extremely nervous when Vicario has the ball at his feet. I really do.
I have to tip my hat to Areola. He's set up to press us in the right way. He restricted our width completely, so we had to go down the middle. And the problem was we were trying to play it as we have been, from the back, not long balls. But anytime we played a long ball, I'm sorry, Johnson didn't run onto anything. Richarlison had a really bad day of trying to hold up the ball. I thought he was terrible in possession yesterday. So really, where was our creativity going to come from? Because every time that you played it out to Kudus, he had 2 or 3 men stifling him. He couldn't develop or create. Porro was trying then to play the overlap, which left it open for Evan Ainson and Semenyo to just exploit us. I have to say, Areola played a fantastic tactical game against us.
Yeah, I mean, what I noticed as well was in the first half, because Adrian, you was in the East End, weren't you? So they would have been furthest away from you. But what I noticed as well, and I noticed this in the Burnley game when I went to Burnley as well, the Jed Spence and Brennan Johnson don't work, because when Jed gets the ball, he doesn't want to feed Johnson, because Johnson is not the take-on merchant. He ain't the one-on-one that's going to take a player on. So every time that, or I'd say majority of times that he gets the ball, he's playing it inside to someone rather than playing it onto Johnson. And then when there's little gaps appear that you can thread a ball through in between two defenders for Johnson to run onto, Johnson invariably didn't make the run to run onto it. So he hardly got the ball. So we played, a bit like against Burnley, we played lopsided football, Adrian, because we kept trying to feed Kudos because he was the only outlet that we had. Blaine's right. Sometimes Kudos would have two on him, but Adrian, you said this to me last night as well. You notice the strength of Kudos, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, he's a fantastic player, great buy, and you're right. I mean, everybody can see it. Too many out balls of Kudos. So there aren't Kudos, they're Richarlison, but there's nothing on the left. There's nothing on the left at all. And so, as you said earlier, everyone's alluded to earlier, it makes it a bit easier to defend against. You only want to worry about Johnson when he's around the penalty area. That's the only time to worry about him. But yeah, the outball, and we can't just be magnetically attracted to Kudos all the time with the ball, because teams will get used to that, and they'll have time to get set and get two on him, and he still causes problems when there's two on him. But this is why this takes me back to Aaron Lennon's great quote when he turned around and said, "Oh, I always had two men on me." He said, "But when we got Gareth Bale," he said, "that was a game changer. It was one, because they couldn't cope with both of us." And this is why we need someone on the left that can do it. I believe that Odegaard will do it eventually. The kid's talented, right? I even think that Tell would do it eventually, but they're still developing as players, because they're both willing to go at players. I mean, when he made the changes, it was the youngsters that started to look as though they want to grab the game by the throat. I mean, Bergvall, Tell, even Odegaard, even, you know, they were trying. They had more of an effect than Richarlison did, you know, or Johnson yesterday. But
do you think that selecting Basuma and Sarr midfield was a mistake, and we should have started with Bergvall and Sarr to have that better ball carrying ability?
You mean Bentancur?
Yeah, so instead of Bentancur, we should have started with Sarr and Bergvall.
I mean, defensively, because we only conceded one, we weren't exactly awful. It's just that the midfield just didn't function. It was disjointed, cohesion. I mean, what are players' roles in that midfield? What are their actual roles? Other coaches, you are given a role. Our midfield, even last year when we were getting roles, it just seems like everyone gets on and does what they want. I mean, a bit different away at City when you've got to be more disciplined. I think we're going to look better when we're under pressure from a team. And then we can sort of sit and break better, and we get a bit more space. But we always seem, this is a hangover from last season. We all seem to wait in hope that the opposition will make mistakes so we score goals, rather than making things happen. I mean, before we had strikers like Son and Kane in their prime, they'd make something happen out of the blue. They'd grab the game. They'd get a fantastic goal out of it, take a player on, beat a couple, get a shot off, whatever. I mean, all right, Kudus can do that. Richarlison started. Look, the team, you can't fault the effort. They huffed and puffed, but they were getting nowhere. We could have been playing till now and still probably not scored, you know. And I just like, and I think also a wake up call for Frank. I like him as a manager, and I'm sure he'll do very well at this football club. But he'll have learned from yesterday's game. And I said to Jose on the phone, I thought, the way it was going, why are managers frightened to make changes before half time? You know, you send a message now to the team before they go in. If you make even one change before half time, it sends a message to the players coming off as well. So, and it was so slow, but we see this sort of football, this robotic football, on every game we watch. I get bored watching other games. I'm magnetically focused on Spurs because it's my team, you know. But even watching some Premier League games, and I'm just thinking, this is fucking dull. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is
You
robot.
only have to look at flipping Newcastle Leeds last night. It was exactly the same. One of the terrible game. Terrible, slow, boring, typical game in the Premier League. And 0-0 justified it. But come back to what you're saying, Adrian. You're absolutely right. Richarlison can't create a chance for himself, so it has to be developed. And at the minute, the only player we have to develop a chance really is Kudus. But Bournemouth just completely marked him out of the game yesterday and then stifled that wing for Porro to be able to try and create. With nothing coming down the left because Spence had to stay back because Johnson don't trap back or doesn't help in defence. So you've really got one flank, one outlet. And if you shut that down, where's the rest of our creativity coming from? But that's where I hope Xavi Simmons is going to make a massive impact.
For moments there, what I noticed, I don't speak to this Jose about this because of getting too many stadium announcements on the phone. It was annoying. Yeah, but yeah, it was when we initially started. I did like the link-up play, and it wasn't nothing major that people may have noticed, but I did like the understanding between Pauline and Romero. I like that. Because I'm thinking, well, Maddison, if you ever come back or we get a number 10, I don't want you coming to pick the ball up off the back four. You know, that is Paulina's job, really. So I did like that. I thought Van der Ven made a couple of good blocks. I thought Romero was unlucky with the goal because when Evanilson shot, it come off his leg and flew up over. And that's not a sign of you're going to have a good day anyway when that happens. It come off a Romero and went off. And I said it at the time I hadn't watched the video, so before I sent all the videos to Jose, like I normally do all people, like I went and had another second look because I was actually right in line with that, and I thought they'd come off him, sure, he'd come off Romero, and he's at the back and he's in the same position as Jose alluded to with Vicario, isn't he? I mean, like Romero's now looking up who to pass it to. Now it's all right, people round the side of me in the seat screaming, pass it, give it long, but look, be fair to the player as well. His line of sight is much more difficult than ours high up in the stands, right? We can see where we'd like the ball to go, but in some cases you think, well, if it comes off, that'll be a great pass, you know? And to be honest, going back to the forwards a bit, Slanky gives you more options than Richarlison does because he's a better passer and his hold-up plays better.
Yeah, so we've got some more people have come in before we carry on. You've got Quez says good morning to you, Quez. I hope everything's well. Graham is here, says afternoon, gents. Good afternoon, Graham. I hope you're well. Nape says, well, that's the guaranteed loss of the season out of the way at least.
And while you're here, guys, while you're all coming in, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Let's get Jose at 1,500. We're trying to get to 1,500 in Spurs Dials as well. So if you give us a subscribe as well, if you haven't already, that'd be
shameless
great.
plugging, Adrian. Shameless
Paul Trose here.
Let's get Jose up, yeah? Let's get up to 1,500. Come on.
Paul Trose here says he's still seething and played like Prime Brazil against City and then like a championship side yesterday. Nige is here. Good afternoon. Nige says big up chaps in the chat. In Frank, we trust. Shemtam says they targeted our right side because Kudus and Porro are the only real creativity we have, and also targeted Porro defensively with Semenyo. Take out our right side and we are terrible. Look who you've got. You've got Chris Agambar. Good afternoon, Chris. Says big up Jose in the panel. Good afternoon, Chris. Hope you and the family are well. Nape's come in and said again, big Xavi Simmons going to make things happy. Shameless plug. Smash a like for the stream. It all helps and is appreciated. And if you're new, subscribe to help the channel grow. Joe Blogs, he says, evening chaps. I think Frank should have changed the formation after the goal. Needed to go uber defensive until we clawed our way back into the game. The defeat was on Frank and not the players. Nige says, come on, Joe, you can't just blame Frank. The players were woeful. Yes, he should have changed things, but to lay all the blame on Frank is wrong in my opinion. Peter is here and he's telling us it's 9:23 in Melbourne. I've cheekily gone back and said good evening to Peter and I've told him it's 12:23 here. Joe says the manager's the only person who has the responsibility to change things. Ronnie, good afternoon. Ronnie says yesterday was worrying because that was the worst than anything under Ange. I'm not too sure it was worse than anything under Ange.
Short-term memories.
Yeah. Joe Blogg says we got played off the park. Unfortunately, here's the Queen. She says, "Hello, lads. Sorry, was sipping cocktails by the pool, but came up to my room, but needed to chat Tottenham with you fine gents." Napes the Ape says, "Put the links in the chat and I'll sub now." I've got Blaine's already in the description of the show, and I can do that in a second. I'll put them up. Queen Ellie says Richarlison didn't hold the ball very well yesterday. In fact, our forward play was non-existent. Simon Cohen's here. Good afternoon. Says, "Afternoon, boys. Need a couple of more signings." Scott Colliver, good evening to you, Scott. Says, "Hello, Jose and guests and chat." Nige says, "We were played off the park for sure. They did the same to us last season at the Lane. I feel like we struggle when we get pressed." And Wayne Bonner says, "I would have changed to a 3-5-2 for the second half. Still baffled me that we stuck with the same formation." Is there anything more that you guys want to discuss about the game? Because there's plenty to discuss there.
If I might say something, Jose, about the
Yeah.
officiating. I know I didn't watch probably the entirety of the match beyond the 10th minute, but there was this one incident involving Semenyo, in which I believe the official, Simon Colliver, he was supposed to book him a second time. I think he was reaching for his card or something, and it looked like Semenyo kind of like felt that his time was up, that he was going to be given his marching orders, but somehow or other, the ref might have just remembered that Semenyo was already on yellow, and then he's sort of like gave him the leeway or the benefit of not picking up his second, and that might have something to do with how the way turned out. But I'm not going to use that as any sort of an excuse as to why we lost. But the officiating yesterday, especially when you take a look at what happened between Chelsea and Fulham in that first half, to the point where Marco Silva had to have words with the ref at halftime. Something has to be done with the PGMOL, the officiating, the consistency, and also the way the transparency is, being handled in matches. This is something that needs to be addressed. And for me, I think this isn't something new. This is
You put yourself on mute. You put yourself on mute.
sorry about that. Yeah, this is something that's been going on for quite some time and has to be addressed. Having said that, back to you, Jose.
Right, so I think that I know what Chang's referring to, but right, so I know that Nape's already done this, but please sub to Blaine, and there's Blaine's channel there, and I know that Nape's done to both. If he hasn't done to one, he's done it to both, and also to sub to Adrian and his gang over at Spurs Diehards TTID, and as I said, Nape has already done it, but one or two channels he's done it already, so the links are both there in the chat to support these gentlemen that are on the screen with me today. So yeah, support everyone. Everyone should be supported. We all do it for the love of our team. Support everyone in the community. I think what Chang's referring to, Blaine and Adrian, is in the first couple of minutes of the second half, we went on a breakaway, and there came from where I saw it, it looked like they'd run past each other. Richarlison was on the break, weren't it? And him and Semenyo ran past each other. Richarlison's gone down. Semenyo's kind of went down and got back up before Richarlison. And the whole crowd stood up and was baying for a red card. I haven't seen replays of it at all, so I cannot comment at this present moment in time to tell you whether there was contact, whether it was a foul or not. But definitely, we were on the rest back after that. I mean, I don't know. You guys watched the replay of it. Was it a foul or not? I don't know because I didn't watch it.
So what's caused the controversy, and actually just to clear this off, because Frank talked about it in his post-match press conference as well, he said about the booing at halftime and full-time, that wasn't at our squad. That was at the ref, for sure. You guys were in the ground. It was not pointed at the team at all. So I think that's a bit ambiguous. But Semenyo, how he didn't get a red, because it's a blatant dive. That's all he did. He dove, looking for a free kick. By the letter of the law, that's a second yellow. Sling your rig, get to the showers early, bugger off. But no, the ref just bottled it. I mean, don't get me wrong, At very best, we maybe just about deserved to get a point from that game, but that could have made a massive difference.
So, Blaine, are you saying it was a dive or was it a foul?
Yeah, there was no contact on Semenyo at all.
No,
And he
but it
just
wasn't
went down
Semenyo.
looking for a free kick.
It wasn't Semenyo. I think
No,
with
you're
Semenyo
referring to
running.
that incident. There was another incident when Semenyo dove right in front of the referee,
Right.
and he didn't give him a card for it.
But when the crowd were baying for a red card was when it was a couple of minutes into the second half when we broke, and he ran across Richarlison.
Yeah,
now, as I said,
I haven't re-looked at that. I have to admit, I haven't re-looked at that one. So
I haven't either. But irrespective of that, where did they find that referee? In a fucking circus or something? Because, like, was he on day release? Because, like, well, what have we got to do to win a free kick in a game these days? I've seen this before. I mean, Richarlison should have been given a few more free kicks. He wasn't. It was quite a few like that. You know what I mean? And I just thought he was. I'm not taking the result away from Bournemouth. They thoroughly deserved to win by about 3 goals, right? But that referee was an absolute disgrace. He's the worst referee I've seen this season. And like, he was consistent because he didn't get any better. I mean, even though the crowd tried to get at him, he didn't like sort of, change it. I mean, I haven't seen the Semenyo clip, the Richarlison incident. I can't recall it. All right, if we looked at it, maybe he should have gone, but that's only one incident out of many. And the only good thing he did, actually, which we've all been screaming for, is give the throw the other way for foul throws. He did that a couple of times during the game, and I don't mind that. And that was about that. Apart from that, he should retire, take early retirement.
The throws are a different thing. Professional footballers who can't take a throw in properly. Yeah. Oh my God! When I saw that happen, I just thought, I was in the stand saying to the people next to me, "Are we back in primary school?" The kind of throws that were being made were what you did in primary school when you're trying to learn, when you're first starting out and you're trying to learn to do a throw. And these are professional footballers who've been doing it for years. Now I understand you're trying to every little inch, that you can nick from the game to try and give you an advantage. I understand that, but taking a throw is taking a throw. You're not going to get anything if you take a throw incorrectly. You're going to get pulled up for it, and you pass the ball to the opposition by doing that. But I will say the referee, for me, and I don't normally go at refs, but he didn't have the best of games yesterday, the referee. And a lot of what got the crowd going was because of the referee's actions on the pitch. And like Adrian says, it started off in the first half, and it certainly continued in the second half. Some awful decisions were made. I felt that we didn't get anything from him in the first half at all. And we probably didn't get a lot in the second half either until the second part of the second half, the latter part, is when we started again, because the crowd, Adrian, taking the piss, like applauded when he gave us bloody the first free kick that we got given for something that was obvious, which he hadn't given before. And then the crowd, obnoxiously gave him the old clap and stuff like that. But he did have a poor game, the referee. But that's not taking. I'm not going to take anything away from Brentford.
No.
Brentford's press was Bournemouth. Brentford's press was absolutely brilliant. Brentford did not allow us to play, and when we could have played, we didn't play, because I keep going back to the slower.
Yeah. What was galling, what was really getting the crowd, I sense, was the fact that when he wasn't giving us the free kick, and what really riled the crowd, it was leading to a Bournemouth attack, and us being threatened. And so that makes it even worse, I mean, that's what makes decisions even. He was, I don't want to know his name. I mean, he was just, I don't want him refereeing any of our games again. Or, he should go down to the non-league or something and annoy them down there.
Peter has gifted 5 channel memberships. Really kind of you, Peter. These have gone to Steve Reformato, Collective Breaks Matty, James, Kells, and Random Guy. So if you come in, because I don't think, and I saw any comments from any of you guys earlier, but if you do come in, it's Peter, guys, you need to thank. And you've got Nate saying to big up to Peter and Wayne Bonner as well. Queen Ellie says they deserve to be booed, though, as they played atrocious. I don't boo myself, but I understand why fans do it, and it's their choice. They didn't boo the players. most of the boos in the ground came for the referee. It wasn't the players. It was the referee that was getting booed most of the time. Chang said, Nape says, Chang, where do you think they found the referee? Ronnie was at the game, and Ronnie says, I booed at half time, and that was at the team. Rubbish, and I booed at full time. I suppose that when you pay, you're entitled to do what you need to do. But I felt that most of the boos came because of the referee rather than the team. Joe Bloggs says the best team generally get the best decisions. Queen Ellie says that the players were lackluster. It was like they just woke up from a deep sleep and were still groggy. Good evening, Mr. Shear says, oi, oi, Cobbers and Quebecs. Good evening, Mr. Shear. I hope you are well. Ronnie says, don't care about the referee. He had a better performance than our team, says Ronnie. Same team, different year, says David Shear. There's the Australian humour for you. And Wayne Bonner says the referee was about as useful as a condom in a convent. But I make you right. For me, before the game, I mean, I don't know how, because obviously I wasn't on social media, but Adrian, there was for me, there seemed to be a really good buzz in the stands when I got to the stadium. The Chelsea game was on outside the South Stand, and people were watching that. And when I got there, they just did the handball for the penalty, and VAR took about 15 minutes to decide the penalty of the Chelsea game. And all the fans outside the South Stand were saying you can't give that. It was never a penalty. There was a handball before the handball, and it seemed to be like a really good buzz. And then when I got into the stadium, it seemed, and I was there over an hour before kickoff, and it seemed to be a good buzz inside the stadium as well. I went and sat on my seat quite early, and taking it all in, and it seemed to be a really good buzz. And then the game started.
Yeah, it was a relaxed atmosphere. Yeah, I mean, Frank's had an effect. I mean, Soren put it well on another show when he told me, and said, it feels like Frank's been with us for ages. It does in a way, it does. It feels like he's been with us for ages. And I think like people have taken to the new manager, and that helps with the atmosphere. Plus we were going in with like 6 points and 5 goals, none conceded, unusual for us in 2 games. So, and there's still plenty to be, happy about it. It's disappointing because like we all expected to win. I did, and you expected to go into international break with 9 points and be sharing the lead at the top of the table. But worst ways we were going to 4th. So in a way it is good. We have been getting excited and carried away for more reasons than that. I mean, like the signings have been excellent. 3 top-notch players have come in. Oh, by the way, there are so many Xavi Simmons songs out there now. I mean, one I particularly like is the old Dele Alli one. We've got Simons, Xavi Simmons. I just don't think you understand. He plays the Spurs way. He's better than Jose. We play Xavi Simmons. But I've heard that sung. Sean Butler actually was mouthing that on his walk. Like, I thought, I like that. I mean, we play the Spurs way. He's better than Jose. I like that. So, but there's loads out there. The guy with the guitar up. I went to one of the bars up there. I'm on the fifth floor, so walked along to him doing the sing-alongs and all that. I went up to him afterwards. I said, "Oh, do you know that?" He went, "Oh, Dele Alli." I went, "I'll go." I walked away because he obviously knew it, but didn't do it anyway because he was doing all the Spurs favourites. So, yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah. Are you going to get onto the signings, Jose? Or?
Yeah, I will soon. Yeah, we need to strengthen in depth. So 2 more in this window and another 2 to 3 in January, says Ellie. Wayne says Fulham got royally screwed yesterday. Bad day for the refs and the officials. And Queen Ellie also says, I was told it was a bit of both. Boo the ref, I agree with that. And give the ref a condom as he played it safe. What I will say, and if people want to chime in, they can do, about yesterday is that, yes, when we played Burnley played a low block. And we were there for the game, Adrian. They played a low block, but we penetrated them. We got the ball out wide. We penetrated and we walked away with a 3-0 win. You can only play what's in front of you on any given day. We know this. Manchester City, we played well as well, right? So if you're praising the team for doing well when they played Burnley and you're still picking the pluses and the minuses of each game and you do the same with City, then equal measure should be given to the Bournemouth game. Yes, Bournemouth set up well, but we were really poor. So the game was a bit of both. Bournemouth played really well. There's no taking it away. Bournemouth should have won in my eyes. It was a 4-0 game to Bournemouth if it weren't for some of Vicario's saves, right? But equally, we didn't perform. So when people say that we're reactionary as a fan base, we're reactionary to the game that you're talking about. And the game that we're currently talking about now, the first two have gone. The game that we're now talking about is yesterday. And like I said, I felt that we were really, really poor. And that's hence why we're all talking about yesterday's game. And Bournemouth were really good. But I've heard this and we've seen this in previous seasons with other managers, where we put in stinkers like this. So it's not just this is new to Tottenham. This has happened before under other managers as well. And it's just that, at the end of the day, from so much promise of the first two games, and there were two different games altogether, the fact that we didn't seem to put in a shift yesterday and that everything seemed to be so slow. I mean, I remember coming back from the Burnley game when we did a show. I think we did a show the following night on yours on a Sunday. And we were talking about the Burnley game. And I turned around and I said, the thing that I've noticed, Frank, obviously Frank's come in, he's drilling the team and whatever. The thing I've noticed about Frank is that we don't play quickly. Everything is measured with Frank. It's like take your time, look for the right pass. And, I don't know whether it's because we haven't got the players and the trust yet to start breaking on teams at speed, but we seem to be really slow. And I watched it again yesterday and thought to myself, yeah, we were slow. So don't know whether anyone else wants to chime in on that, but that's
only comment, and it's. I hope I'm wrong in this. I hope I'm proved wrong. We looked sluggish and lethargic yesterday. Imagine whenever we're playing 2 games a week. If we still continue to look like this, I'm worried. Because that rotation from Tuesday to Saturday or Wednesday to Sunday, you're not going to get the time on the training field. You're going to have quicker recovery sessions. And at the moment, I'm really concerned about the depth that we have. Because we will get a couple of injuries before Christmas. It's inevitable. Completely inevitable. I mean, I hate to draw a conclusion to that side in the posh part of London, but look at Chelsea yesterday. Delap's got injured and now they're having to scramble in the market. We've got less than 46 hours to get this team sorted before Christmas. And we're still lacking in areas. I'm not concerned about Frank because I think Frank will grow with this squad, but I'm concerned about the squad.
With the Chelsea thing, they've blocked Nicholas Jackson to Bayern Munich because of what happened straight away. They did it yesterday. Soon as the Delap injury happened and the game finished, because he was already going out to Germany to sign the documents.
Yeah, he's still in Germany.
Yeah. And when the thing happened to Delap straight after the game, or by the time the game had finished, they pulled out that they've called the Jackson deal off because
I seen there 10 minutes ago, Jose. They're trying to recall your boy Gulu from Sunderland potentially.
Yeah. So
the sort of latest news on their transfers, whether we get either of these, I don't know.
I don't know. We're going to come to that. We're going to come to replacement reinforcements. So save your in the know, Adrian.
I'm not in the know.
Adrian's getting the 53 varieties of hindsight.
Yeah, I'm not. I would discuss players, but I'm not in the know because, and I don't want to be in the know because all them in the knows out there, they know nothing anyway. They only know when something becomes a fact. They're all guessing. They want to be the first one, the scoop. I got it. But they all talk. They're like political spin doctors. They just talk in circles and never. And when you listen to them, because my mind works very fact based anyway and logical. I just think, where's the depth in is there any depth to what you're saying? Is there any fact in what you're saying? What we want to hear is like the clubs are talking or the players agreed terms or something like that. Is something concrete to work on. Then you can discuss it on your show and I can throw videos out and things like that. But most of it, I hate the transfer window. It's 3 months of bullshit in the summer and a month in January. So yeah, I don't like it because it's just so much BS out there. But as podcasters, we have to talk about something during the transfer window. So we have to discuss what's realistic and not.
You got Wayne Bonner says Frank won me over when he said if you're a dickhead, we don't want you here. David Shear says games like games like that is why I love me Aussie rules, Jose.
Yeah.
Wayne Bonner says on the plus side, 3 games and no injuries. True.
Shush, shush, shush.
And then you've got Queen Ellie says, yeah, Adrian, love it. We've got Simmons, Xavi Simmons. I just don't think you understand. He plays the Spurs way. He's better than Eze. We got Xavi Simmons is, and she stops. Right, we've got Wayne Bonner has asked a question, but it was my next talking point. And this is before the game started. Xavi Simmons was presented to the crowd, and Wayne is saying to us, what were the fans like when Simmons walked onto the pitch?
Well, he had a smile on his face you'd only remove with an operation, really, Simons, and the crowd were just like, they were just ecstatic. It was sort of mixed. There wasn't a song or anything like that. Oh, apart from the usual, you know.
Yeah, that rang throughout the whole crowd.
That was good. So, and he looks like, you see some players when they sign for us, and they used to like do the medical. And I used to like it when they took him to the stadium. They stopped doing that a bit, and because I used to put them clips up, because I'm studying the player's face when he's out in that centre of that pitch, and he's looking around the stadium to see how much it's grabbed him, or gripped him, I used to like that, and they seem to stop doing it. But Simons seemed to show that when he come out in front of 60,000 plus, he was there yesterday. You probably thought, well, this is a little bit different to Leipzig, So I'm sure.
I don't know if you've watched his sort of press release videos, his interviews, etc., and joining.
Yeah.
Do you know what gripped me about Simons that I really liked? All right, he said about walking out to the stadium, the 60,000 fans, I'm going to get goosebumps. And he even referred back, I think he said his little sister had sent him videos. He's really ingrained deep family roots, and I like that.
Yeah.
He seems really the earth.
Yeah, and Chelsea were after Fermin Lopez. Don't know if they've gone for him, and they just brought Garnacho in as well. And we would have pumped him. He's good friends with Odebert, funnly enough. So
at PSG, the PSG academies.
Yeah. So you thought that would probably have had an influence as well. Plus, he's Dutch. So VDV probably had a word with him as well. And they would have played together in a Dutch side. He's a fantastic footballer. And he does drift out of games. I mean, if I remember how good Eriksen was, there was times when he was non-existent in some games. Sometimes games just go by you. That's just the way football is. So, but he is such a fantastic
he could drift out of a game for 80 minutes, Adrian, but he's the kind of player that can get one moment and change a game on its head. He really is.
Yeah, people were comparing Van der Vaart. I mean, look, Van der Vaart was world class, but Van der Vaart was a more direct forward, play inside, play off the main striker, behind and all that. Totally different gravy, because Simons, he's got that control and balance, which I see in Mikey Moore. He's got the same control and balance, and he dribbles. Whereas Van der Vaart never used to dribble. He didn't dribble. Eze does. But Eze's more of a ball carrier than a passer. But Simons passes as well. He's got vision around a penalty area to play people in as well. I mean, the only reason I wanted Eze and Dorgu at the beginning of the season, I wanted Eze because he was homegrown. That was the only reason over Simons. Paper, cigarette paper between the two, and actually what Simons will give you, he'll give you more energy and consistency over a longer period of games, because he's built. That is what he is. Whereas Eze will give you, who's a fantastic player, brilliant player. Eze will give you more of that instinctive brilliance that comes from top class players as well, but they're different. I think Simons is ideally suited to the Premier League. The pace might take him. You're at pitch side and you watch that ball, those of you sitting near the pitch, you see how fast the game is, right? So when you're up in the stands, you think that players have got a split second usually on the ball.
Adrian, where I'm confident, he's played 2.5 seasons in the Champions League as well. So he'll be up to pace very quickly.
Blaine, have you seen this player play?
What, live in person? No.
I'm talking about right. Okay, I'll tell you where I'm from.
I do watch Bundesliga games quite often.
Okay, right. So for me, right,
I did send a video out to everyone.
Yeah, but for me, I've been asked a question, Blaine, and this is why I'm asking you, mate. Is because I've been asked a question, what do I think of Xavi Simmons? And all I've turned around to people said, I've heard the name touted for many years now as an upcoming superstar player when he was a youngster coming through Barcelona, PSG, didn't get the breaks or left for whatever reason, went to play for ended up playing for PSV, had 2 or 3 good seasons at PSV, then went to Leipzig, played two seasons at Leipzig. So I know all about him. And then when they started the Nations League off a few years ago, Nations League, I could watch the Nations League on normal television. And so if Holland played, I always noticed that with Xavi Simons, he was always a sub. In the Dutch team a couple of years, 2 to 3 years ago, he was always sub. So I've never actually seen him play per se. He might have played in the game and I've just not looked at it, but I've not seen much of him. So when I'm asked what do I think, I'm saying I rely on others to tell me and what their viewpoints are because I haven't seen enough of him to make an opinion. If have you seen enough of him to form an opinion?
I'd say I probably watched 7 or 8 games, full games with him playing, right? I hate to draw this conclusion because he's my favorite player of all time, but he's got the balance and poise and flair of a young David Ginola, right? With the capability to take a man on, but also have the vision to play that slide rule pass in behind the defense. He is different gravy, Jose. He definitely is. And how we managed to get him for about 55 million, I don't know.
51.8.
Yeah, 51 plus add-ons. Yeah.
He's not got the most physical stature, and he's
But
not
he's
the we've got. I mean, he's not as fast as Spence, VDV, or even Johnson. He's not as fast as any of those.
No.
But he's got that standing when you stand a player up and go past him.
Yeah,
he's
got, over a 5-yard burst, Adrian. You're absolutely right.
Mikey Moore's not fast, but he can. Sometimes he make going past players look like they're not there, right? Because you've got to have quick feet to do that as well, and he's got the quick feet, and he's still developing. And I was only discussing with EMF right the day before we signed him. I was on the phone or whatever, and I was chatting to him. I said, Ian, I've been giving this a bit of fault with these transfers. Fine, Chelsea signed players for 8 years, which you can do, but you got to pay from 5 up to 5 max. You know what I mean? I said, why aren't we signing players, the younger players that are younger, for 5 years with an option of 2 years on the contract at the end of the 5 years? And what happens? That happens with Xavi Simons. And I haven't known any other club do it. And I thought, why hasn't that happened before? So basically, we've got him for 7 years if we want him. He's 22 coming on 23, but he's going to fall in love with this club. Then he was going to probably spend his whole career here, I think he's an absolute superb. I'm not expecting him to be brilliant in every game, but so I'm not excited in that way. It's just his talent, his talent is it's like his ball control, his balance, his dribbling, his vision, not so much pace, but his vision. The only question mark is he's not got the greatest physical stature. So
but he's deceptively physical, believe it or not, Adrian. The thing, as you say, he's got quick feet to beat a man. But at the same time, his stature would remind you a lot, actually, of who am I thinking of? Of say like a young Sarb, and Sarb was a bit skinnier, right?
Yeah, and Ericsson
himself up a bit, and Ericsson, but he can take a man on physically as well. He's deceptive in that way. And you know what I love him more? The fact he absolutely mugged off Declan Rice playing for England. I don't know if you've seen that clip, but if you can do that again this season, bloody hell.
And when you're that talented, like Emma or Mikey Moore or something like that, players will stand off you. If it's set pieces, they might get tight, but they're going to sort of stand off you a bit. So
right. I've put it back in the chat. Blaine's channel is there. Please go over and support Blaine, and in the links in the chat, and again to Adrian and his gang over at Spurs Diehards. So please support these two gentlemen, and Chang, because if Chang's associated with every channel. Chang just hoards himself out. Chang is associated with everyone. Chang, what are your thoughts on Have you seen Xavi Simons play? What are your thoughts on Xavi Simmons?
He came to prominence to me personally. He came to prominence last year, in the summer during the Euros, the 2024 Euros last summer. That game, especially the semi-finals against England, and anyone who wants to talk about his physical stature, well, the clip that's doing the rounds on social media, be it the UEFA YouTube channels or the local fan channels, was that one clip where Xavi Simmons absolutely bodied Declan Rice of all players to thump in Holland's lead in the semi-finals against England. So, I mean, that is the one. I mean, if there ever was a better sort of calling card for any player to make themselves known to international clubs, the world stage, I think, is the best possible place to do it. And Xavi Simons was the one highlight for me in both the semi-finals, the one against England and Holland, and I can't remember what the other one was, but he was a stand-up player for me that particular game. And for the most part of, I believe it was the season before last, when Red Bull Leipzig, they had a big hand in ensuring that Bayern Munich finished the season without a trophy. The season before last, that was, he also did come to light back then, even before the Euros. So for me, I think he's everything we could have hoped for in a new number 7. Hopefully, our long-term replacement for Son Heung-min. And the fact that he himself actually spoke at length of the importance of the number 7 and what it stood for so many years when Son was wearing it. For him to give a nod to Son in the his introductory video, that was absolutely class of him. But to be honest with you, as far as league performance or performance whole year round, whole season long of games, I have yet to properly follow him. Hopefully, we will catch a glimpse of him sooner rather than later. I am hoping that on the 13th of September, 2 weeks from now, when we play West Ham, I believe we are going to play West Ham away at the London Stadium. It's going to be it's going to be a 5:30 p.m. kickoff on a Saturday evening. So hopefully we will see him then. Him and Kudus lighting up the London Stadium against West Ham would be absolutely, fantastic. But let's just wait and see if they do take to the pitch together. I am hoping that he does get fit and acclimated to his new teammates. And the sooner we get him up and running, the better. Because if yesterday's game was anything to go by, we are rather starved of creativity. So yeah, here's to Xavi Simons. Welcome to him, and here's to a long-lasting career with Tottenham Hotspur. Having said that, back to you, FA.
Nape says, depth is certainly a problem. Will take a few windows to fix. My expectations this season aren't high. Frank needs time. We still need players. Joe Blogs says, Simmons hasn't even kicked the ball in the toughest league in the world, so I'm sceptical of his signing, as it's a club signing, a young player with potential, but no experience in this league. Then he goes on to say, we need better than oven-ready chickens. We need cooked chickens to go. Quite a good analogy, that one from Joe. I like it. Queen Ellie says, Xavi has great acceleration and is stronger than he looks. Rob Belcher, good afternoon, says good afternoon, wonderful people. Good afternoon, Rob. I hope you're well. Ronnie says, no Savinho in the City squad today. Ronnie, if you, and I believe that you do, Ronnie, you do fantasy football. And if you do fantasy football, it tells you quite clearly that Savinho has a slight knock and he wasn't going to be available for selection until the 14th of September. So he was never going to play in the first 3 games for City because he had a slight knock. And then finally, just before we move on, got a question here from Wayne Bonner, and he's asking about Xavi Simmons. One answer says, what's his best position? Is it cam or left wing? One answer. I don't want to hear both, Adrian. Cam or left wing?
Definitely can.
Cam.
Definitely can.
Adrian's on Cam. What are you on, Chang? Cam or left wing?
I would say left wing. And the reason why I'm saying this is because of his number, or rather the squad number. I mean, I could be wrong. I would like to be proven wrong here, but I believe he chose the number 7 for a good reason. Both for the international squad, I believe, as well, in the Dutch setup. So I think that has a bearing on that. But I mean, if he wants to play both, I wouldn't mind. And right now, we need him as a center attacking midfielder more so than a left winger. So I hope that answers your question, Jose. Center
It's not
attacking
my-
midfielder for me.
It's not mine. It's Wayne Bonner's. And for you, Blaine, Xavi Simmons, Cam or left wing?
That's a really tough call because he's actually bloody good off both. Do you know what you would make Xavi Simmons like? When Grealish was playing at Villa, right? You start him in the 10, and if he needs to drift throughout a game across to the left, or even across, he can even drift out on the right. Let him have a free roam. Let him just go and roam across that whole front three. He can produce from any position, but right now, today, I agree with Chang. We need a 10. So he needs to start in the 10.
Okay. Right, for me, Wayne, I can't offer you my opinion because I've not seen enough of this player to form an opinion to tell you what he's like. I'm hoping that from what the 3 panelists have said and from what other people have heard say, I'm hoping that he is and he lives up to all the expectations that people have for him. And that he becomes, for me, I hope he becomes a club legend, but then I want every player to become a club legend here at Tottenham. Right, moving on. So that was Xavi Simmons. Reinforcements are required. I saw the game yesterday, and for me, before the game yesterday, I said that we need reinforcements. After watching the game yesterday, it solidified even more that I feel we need reinforcements. Will we get the reinforcements that we need? No, because to match up against the teams that are already ahead of us, in the sense that they've been building teams for the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, we are playing catch up, and so it's going to take us years to catch up and to get to where some of the other teams are now. But for what we've got, we do need reinforcements. I'll start with you, Blaine. Where do we need reinforcements, and who do you think? I mean, you're a man of social media. A lot more than me, you and Adrian, and probably Chang as well. A lot more than me, and so therefore you'd know who the links are and who they weren't are and who they aren't and whatever. Where do we need players, or what are the most important players? Realistically, we've only got it's 1 o'clock now, so we've got 30 hours left of the window.
36 hours left. Yeah.
Doesn't it close tomorrow at 7 in the evening?
Yeah. So 1 o'clock. Yeah.
It's 30
yeah,
hours. That leaves us 30 hours then.
Yeah.
Yes. So where do we need, and what do you think we'll actually do within the next 30 hours?
So I'm going to answer this in 2 ways. I'll give you my I would love ideal list, and I'll give you the what's realistic, right?
Yeah.
I would love Savio. I think he is going to be a baller for years to come, right? Can we get him? Highly unlikely. Who we should get in that position, and by the way, left wing is the priority number 1 for me. Lookman is there. Lookman is literally if you believe what you read in social media, he's literally waiting for us to give him a phone call. Go and get it done. 35 million, 40 million, even if you need to do it as a loan with an obligation at the end of it, go and get it done. Frank said, if players want to come, I want to sign them. Well, this guy apparently wants to come. And people keep drawing the conclusion back to him whenever he was in the Premier League before. Lookman has aged fantastically well over in Italy. He's been fantastic in the Champions League for Atalanta. And the reports coming out of Italy is that he really wants to come back to the Premier League and prove himself. I think at that sort of price level, it should be go and get it done. Here's the check. Bring him on a plane. Get him signed up. Personally, as well, I'd like to see us sign another central midfielder. Because if Basuma is going to be frozen out or pushed out of the side, I'm sorry, but you get an injury to Bentancur, who isn't going to go the whole season without picking up some sort of a knock. Or if you get an injury to Sarr, And by the way, Sarr's good at certain things. Sarr is not a 10. Sarr is not an out-and-out defensive midfielder. Sarr is the kind of player that you want to run around the pitch and disrupt throughout the whole 90 minutes. But he's not the person to play a slide rule pass. He's not the person that's going to sit in and cover if Paulinho has to sit out for a couple of games, right? So we need somebody of his ilk and his skill set to come in. And the only player I think reasonably you could go and do that for right now would be Conor Gallagher. But again, that's 50, 60 million. Are we going to slap that down in the last couple of seconds in the window? I doubt it. Realistic signing number 3 would probably get a Kanji from City. Although interestingly, I've just seen the City lineup and Akanji and Ake are both on the bench, which is interesting. So it doesn't look like that's an absolutely imminent signing because otherwise it's out. So for me, I'd like us to get 2 more through the door before 7 o'clock tomorrow. Lookman's probably likely. And I think we'll probably get a Kanji, not Ake, because Ake at 35 million, I think, is ridiculous price.
So you're prioritizing a LW and a centre back stroke left back, left wing back, or what is?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And for you, Chang, what's the priorities for you? If you're an ideal priority for you, who do you think we're going for? How many do you think we'll get in the next 30 hours?
My priority would be, of course, either the left winger, assuming that's not Xavi Simmons' preferred position, or a centre attacking midfielder, which could also be a position that is not what Thomas Frank has in mind for Xavi Simmons. Either one of a left winger or a centre attacking midfielder would be perfect for me to begin with. And I think that should be the bare minimum. We need at the very, very least one more signing over the line before the end of the transfer window. If we can get Savinho, that would be, the best possible outcome for us. Failing which, I really wouldn't mind a Morgan Rogers if it's still available, or my third best choice and the probable choice, which is why we are always more than likely to get the third option, the third candidate, which would be Ademola Lookman. He will be the third option for me. So it's Savinho, Morgan Rogers, and Lookman in that position. And if we can get another one on top of either of those 3, it would be Manuel Akanji. I think for me, he ticks all the boxes in terms of the defensive cover we need. And if this also is a big if Manchester City are indeed willing to do business with another top 4 rival that just beat them last weekend, I would gladly get Akanji for whatever price they are willing to accept for him. So I think these are my 2 priorities. If we are pushing out the boat and we can even get a replacement for Bissouma, which might not be the priority right now, but if you can get a replacement for Bissouma, I will gladly welcome any sort of stand-in for him, regardless if it's a short-term or long-term. I still think that the first 2 names, or rather the first 2 positions, should be the priority. So yeah, for me, at the bare minimum, one signing has to be the bare minimum, be it a Savinho, a Morgan Rogers, or a Lookman. And if we can even push the boat out for 2, then might as well add the Manuel Akanji to the mix. Having said that, back to you, Jose.
Right, just before I bring Adrian in, because Adrian's got a wealth of knowledge here from his ITKs that keep giving Adrian information. We've got Wayne Bonner says we need a left back and a left winger and a striker. Queen Ellie says, if he plays left wing, can we bring in Rogers or Paqueta as our number 10? There's been movement on Paqueta in the last 24 hours or so. Ronnie says Akanji, Savinho or Lookman and Vissa. Rodney says madness that we have not gone in for Vissa. Nate the Ape says I think Paqueta goes to Villa and Spurs get Rogers. But Nate says, but I would prefer Savio if we can do it. Ronnie says no chance we get Morgan Rogers. With 1 day to go. Also, price would be 75.80. Nate says, Ronnie, I heard the same kind of things being said about Simmons. Let's wait and see. And Wayne Bonner says, Offer City 75 to 80 million for Savinho. Give them 10 minutes to accept. If they don't within that time, move on to the next one. Adrian, your thoughts, reinforcements required. What do you think we
Morgan
need?
Rogers
What-
only signed a 5-year deal last year.
What do you
And
think
that-
we need? Sorry,
I
what do you think we need?
I think we need a left back, left centre back, midfielder, striker, and left winger.
Okay, right, okay.
We still need 6 players. I think we still need 6 players, and we're not going to fill all these holes in this window.
Yeah.
But Akanji would fill 2 because he can play at left back as well. He's 30 years old, and the rumour is Milan have offered 12.3 million for him, but Spurs have offered 5 million more. They've offered 17 million. Get him in. He fills 2 holes. And what you got to take into consideration, because it's so close to the end of the window.
Did you say
If you're-
Akanji? Sorry, did you say Akanji, Adrian?
Yeah, Akanji, yeah.
Okay.
We're rumoured to have offered 17.3 million. Well, that must be euros, because otherwise it'd probably round up into because he is 30 years of old, and yeah, he can do a good job for us, you know. Then Morgan Rogers, like I said earlier, he's only recently signed a 5-year deal, and that'd be too complicated to get over the line at this late stage in a window, because he's a quality footballer. It would be very good for us. But unless you go bash and offer like a certain amount of money, and Villa accepts and say, look, no, I don't want to get this done. This is why I think with the last day and a half of this window, I think there's more chance of loans, because they're easy deals to sign over. You can sign off on a loan, and then you can do all the complicated stuff at the end of the loan period. If you keep.
Sorry, Adrian, can I just ask you a question then? Sorry to cut, right? So, let's say someone like Morgan Rogers. I've got an alternative opinion, but someone like Morgan Rogers, right? If Tottenham were looking to try and get Morgan Rogers, do you not think that conversations would have already taken place, not yesterday and the day before, but even further back than that, would have taken place, just in case this eventuality may happen?
Yeah, they would have done.
Because I know it's difficult to do a deal that size. It's quite difficult to do one within 24 hours. So that's what I'm suggesting. For some of these players,
Aston Villa, like Newcastle, got big PSR problems. Right? They can't spend, and so they need to offload players before they bring them in. I mean, Newcastle have been after Vissa for ages. He hasn't moved. Villa are rumoured to want Paqueta, but they from West Ham with a loan with a 47 million option to buy him. He's 28. He's a player I hold like at Spurs. We may make a late move. Again, I see it being as a loan, because you've only got a day and a half to get these deals done with add-ons and all that.
Paqueta, is this the same Paqueta who's rumoured to be a Tottenham supporter? Had Tottenham kits when he was a youngster. Pictured a load of Tottenham kits. Yeah, Lucas Paqueta. And if Tottenham went in for him, he would say yes without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, he's big pals with
Is that the same one we're talking about?
Yeah. He's big pals with Charlton. But you see, then we don't know what if Frank wants him. This is the other thing. It's the same with Lookman. Lookman's available. Lookman would jump at the chance to go at Spurs. Now maybe they think, okay, we'll do a loan with an option to buy you, right? Or he might be an easier deal to do because he wants to go and Atalanta know he's leaving. He might be just the easier to do. Just go bang. They're the 3 I'm looking at that I think Akanji's the easiest deal to do. I know we haven't got a good relationship with Man City, but that goes back to Levy pushing all these PSR rules in the league and that. But I think Akanji is looking like a good deal to do, and it makes sense because it covers our centre back position. I know we've got Davies, but it covers VDV, and so you're sort of taking the risk if VDV gets injured again. Because last season, believe it or not, as much as some fans find VDV the sexier player than Romero, and I think Romero's a light year ahead of him in development of the player and being a winner. I mean, Romero played 4,000 minutes. VDV only played 1,000. And everyone's saying, Romero only won't play for, now he's signed a 4-year deal. But back then they were saying, he's only interested in playing. He's always injured for us, and he only ever fit to play for, Argentina and all that. But the truth is, he's put more minutes on the pitch, and he's played while he's injured for us with his toe and things like that. When he didn't want to come off. So, yeah. So, and yet people seem to half the fan. Well, it's the same with all players. It's subjective with players whether you like them or not. And half the fan base like certain players and half don't. You know. And there's always one particular player that everyone loves to hate. You know as well. Yeah. So yeah, but on transfers, I don't see anyone out of that group. I mean, there was talk of Ake as well, but then they were talking. I would take as well.
Sorry, who are
but,
both on the bench for today's game for Man City at 2
Yeah,
o'clock,
I mean,
by the way.
but they're sort of saying 35, 40 mil for him. So why Kanji's the Swiss international's low? I don't know. I mean,
he's got less time in his contract, Adrian. That's why.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, so he's cheaper option. I think what you're saying. Sorry to come in on this, but Morgan Rogers, I think it's impossible to do now because you need so many dominoes to fall. You need Paqueta to want to go to Villa and get that deal done for the even possibility of looking at Rogers. And Paqueta, by the way, is starting for West Ham today. So I think that's putting that to bed. Villa, however, have just gone and signed Victor Lindelof on a free. So there's their wage bill going up again, plus another sign-on fee. I know he's on a free, but signing-on fee. Their PSR is in the mud. Their wage ratio at the minute is above 90% of turnover. They do need to sell a player or two.
But under the rules, you see, they might think, we ain't got Europe and all that. Let's take the fine and maybe a points deduction and get the squad in. I mean, like Man City gone mad in a window. I mean, me and Jose have been bantering each other over this for months because I said City are going to get hammered and Jose's saying they're going to get off. So we'll see what turns out like after that. I've got a theory that worst ways with City and all that, they're all going in big and Chelsea and other clubs because the worst they're going to get is probably, I mean, you would expect minimum would be, okay, you've broke the rules of signings. You think the minimum they'll get is a transfer embargo. Get your players in now, you know what I mean? So, I mean, and now they're talking October, November before they announce the results. And they haven't even dealt with Chelsea yet, you know, so.
Gents, do you think that we're just waiting and keeping Lookman on ice to try and see if we can still get Savio out of City? And do you think that's maybe why we haven't pulled the trigger yet?
I've got an alternative view, right? Sounds mental, but I've got an alternative view. I think Savio could happen, right? If Tottenham pay the money, right, I've got a feeling that Savio could come to Tottenham and Rodgers would go to Man City. They would use the money for Savio to fund Rodgers at Man City because they're two players that are being talked about. Savinho clearly wants to come out to us. Villa quite rightly have PSR issues. And if they're looking to bring Paquetá in, right, then they've got to get rid of someone at a bigger price than what they bring Paquetá in for. So
when you think about it, have City really replaced De Bruyne? That's a very interesting.
And then when you've got Rodrigo, who's a player that they've supposedly been looking at, Rodrigo, the only way that you, unless conversations have gone on, behind the scenes, the only way that you prize Rodrigo out of Real Madrid at this late stage would be with a loan with an obligation.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's if you can prize him. So to me, I'm just like, like Adrian has said before, and I'm sure you guys have probably, it's this domino effect. One player clicks another transfer to another transfer to another transfer. And at the moment, the hot topic is Paquetá to Villa. And I think if that happens, the only saleable asset that goes for more money than what they can bring Paquetá in for is Morgan Rogers. I don't think they've got anyone else in their squad that would go for more than 47.5 million. And it has to be a considerable amount of chunk and change with the PSR issues they've got. So for me, I'm just like, Morgan Rogers, he could well move. But I'm just thinking to myself, will Man City let us have a clear run at Savio if they get the clear run at Rodgers? Just throwing it out there. The other thing I'll say is that, Akanji and Ake are both on the substitute bench for Man City today, right? But that's not unheard of, You said that for you, the more oven ready or the better player would be Akanji. For me,
I think more gettable. I'd take either of them.
Yeah,
he's probably more gettable, but the person that fits the profile for me more, if I was honest, I'd say would be Ake, because he covers your left back and he covers your the left centre back position. Akanji can play in them positions, but Akanji is predominantly right-footed.
True.
So that's all I'm saying about that. With the
True.
Lookman situation, guys, Lookman. If we believe everything the ITKs are saying to us, then Lookman is a gettable option at 35 to 40 million.
See,
Atlanta want to make a sale. They'd rather not do a loan. They'd rather make a sale. 35, 40 million doesn't sound like much money, and it isn't if you're looking at what players are going for nowadays.
But it depends on how we're going approaching this tactically. You could go to Atlanta. We'll give you a big chunk for a loan for a year for Lookman, right? Because that leaves you the option at the end of that loan to go back in for Savinho. Then you can go back in for him in the summer. I mean, Liverpool waited on the centre back, the Dutch centre back they got from Celtic, went to South.
Man City can't buy another player unless they sell, right? And so that's
So
what
you
I'm
might be
saying.
onto something there, because if Rodgers went to Man City, they wouldn't need Rodrigo, because Rodgers is he's very versatile.
But that's what I'm saying to you, Adrian. I'm saying to you that if Savinho was to come to us, right, it's because they've then got the money to then go for another player. And with the price that people are quoting at the moment for Morgan Rodgers, that's what I'm saying. Could it be that Savinho does come to us so they can then fund a Morgan Rodgers deal? Because the only saleable asset that Villa have got is Morgan Rodgers. And at the end of the day, he's a gun for hire. If they're looking to sell Villa, then they're looking for top dollar for Rodgers. And you're looking 75, 80 million.
Guys, can I just add something really, really off the press here? Apparently, Lookman and his agent are now in London.
But that's Spurs then, isn't it? Unless West Ham are
coming no, not necessarily, because Lookman has been offered to a couple of different clubs.
Brentford.
According to what I'm looking at here, don't shoot the messenger. I'm only passing.
No, that's fine.
But apparently he's in London, so
you may be onto something, Jose, because if Paqueta, and the whispers go around, so this is why other clubs delay. I mean, we might want Paqueta, but we might think, hang on, we've still got an outside chance of getting Savinho. If, like you say, Paqueta goes to Villa, Morgan Rodgers goes to Man City, then they could release Savinho. So, and whether, and I think everything was sorted basically barring City agreeing to sell him. So that wouldn't be too complicated to do. But I could well live with that, not getting Paqueta under those circumstances.
The thing that, you know, it doesn't sound far from the realms of madness, guys, but you know that you said, Adrian's probably said that we need 5 players in. All right. The most players, sorry, each Premiership club can do up to 4 loans, can't they?
Was it 4? I thought it was 3, was it?
I thought it was 2 off of I think it was 2 for Premier League clubs. I think in the Championship you can loan as many as you can like.
Okay, so therefore I thought it was 4, right? So hold on, don't shoot the messenger, right? So that means that you could probably, without buying any more players, you could probably do, if that's the case, it's 4. You could do 2 from the Premiership and 1 from foreign, yeah?
You can do a maximum of 4 loans across the season.
4. I thought it was 4. But does it have to be 2? It can be 4 in total, or does it have to be 2 from the Premiership and no more than that?
No, it's as long as it's no more than 1 from the same club.
You get emergency extra 1 if through some strange quirk of fate all your goalkeepers.
So if we loaned Ake or Akanji, one of Kobe Mainu, Adamola Lookman, and then put money down on a left winger, would that kind of square off what you were saying that we needed another 5 players?
Yeah, it would. It would go a long way, wouldn't it? I mean, because don't forget we've got Paulinho on loan. So
we can only get 3 more. That's what I'm saying. So what I said is a centre half, a midfielder, and a left winger, and then you still can spend money if you need to.
I thought 2 Premier League clubs could only loan 2.
I've just popped it.
Put it up there. Look, Premier League clubs are restricted to a total of 6 active outgoing loans for players aged 21 and over, and not considered club trained, with a maximum of 4 loans in total during a season, and a rule of no more than one player loaned from the same club.
Yeah. 4-4's pretty decent. It's 5, like I say, if you get a horrendous injury
No,
this
I'm
week.
just saying, if another way around this would be to loan players in
Yeah.
without having to spend the money on
I
them.
said
And
the other
it's
day,
not,
I see because it's tight and there isn't time. That's why I see loans or loans with obligations to buy. I like to try before we buy.
yeah.
You know, I mean, we gave Werner a second chance. We got rid of him. Good job there was no obligation to him.
So,
You know,
Swim Masters asked a question. I'm going to come back to it. Joe Blogg says, we need a few loan signings, if nothing else. Nate the Ape says, apparently we're sniffing around. Joe Gomez. Beast of Tottenham Hotspur says, afternoon, Eltel. Good afternoon, Beast. I hope you're well. Nate says, do you think we're more likely looking at homegrown players or we're good there? Tottenham are never good with anything like that. Hold on. Wayne Bonner says, how old's Lookman and how good is he? Would he fit into the Spurs 11? I think he would. Beast of Tottenham Hotspur says, Lookman is progressing quickly according to our Callum Stubbs. Ronnie says, latest Spurs will try a late move for Kobe Mainu. The Beast says, we ain't spending 70 million on Savinho. And Nape says, I'd like to move for Mainu. Wayne Bonner then come in and says, I take Mainu at Spurs. I can see him fitting in well. And he's a good young player. But the question we've got is come in from Swim Master. And he says, question, I hear we're still talking about up to 3 or even 4 new players. Realistically, I can see a possible 2 new players. But how many we need to sell with all these numbers?
I mean, we need Gill gone. Solomon looks like he wants to head on a loan again out in the Premier League. Basuma could move. Realistically, who else could we get out the door? I don't think there's many.
But I've come to a point, blame myself, right, that I say to myself, fuck the players that ain't going to play for you, right? Banish them into the corner, so to speak, if they're not going to be part of your squad and that. If they can't find moves, just banish them into somewhere. And what you end up doing is you end up bringing the players that you actually need for the here and now going forward, rather than, right, we need to wait for this player to go before we can bring this player in. If you can't sell the players and the players ain't willing to move on, cull them and bring somebody else in and make your...
I hate going down this pathway, but this is where our club has been so poor getting players out the door. Like, you look at Chelsea, you look at Villa, you look at United, you look at anybody else in the Premier League, they can fucking get players out the door. We almost have to give them away on a free or terminate their contract before they'll bloody move on. Why? It pisses me off. You know, are we just, fucking making the bed for them? There you go and chill out, go and do whatever you want. Don't play for us. I mean, bloody hell. Hill, I'm sorry, yeah, I'm going to go off on a rant on it. But...
That's right, we'll continue the rant in a second because Chan's got to shoot. So just bring Chan in on this before he shoots. Go on, Chan. What do you say about this?
I think at the very least, if in terms of outgoings, honestly, right now, I think only one that can go would be Bissouma. If we were to sell either one of Richarlison or Solanke, I believe that should only happen in the unlikely event we can get another top class striker in, which looks rather, slim right now, those chances. But yeah, in terms of, the numbers, I think Bissouma should be the only logical outgoing because we are threadbare thin at the moment. Seeing how Luka Vuskovic himself has already just gone on loan to Hamburg, and the games are going to be coming thick and fast now that our group stages for the Champions League have already been announced. So yeah, I think realistically, I think we can only afford maybe one outgoing. If that means a very minimum getting one incoming, anything more than one outgoing has to be balanced up with another further incoming. So I think it should be a like for like. It's almost like a like for like exchange in this case. We release one player and we have to bring another player because the way I see it right now, there's absolutely no room for passengers, be it any of our senior players or the youth players. And I would say this about our incomings as well. We need fit and ready players that walk right into the starting 11, be it a Polinia, a Kudus, or even Simmons in particular. So yeah, for me, it's going to be a like for like, and hopefully more to come, Jose.
Thank you very much, Chang, and I shall see you next Sunday. But thanks for being here, Chang, today. I'll see you next Sunday, mate.
Yes.
Take care.
Thank you so much, Jose. Thank you, everyone. Everyone, have a fantastic end to your Sunday ahead, and I'll see you all soon. Okay.
Enjoy
Right,
the
take
rest
care,
of
Chang.
Independence Day,
Ta-ra,
Chang.
mate.
Have a good
Bye
one.
bye. Sorry, Blaine, I'm back to you. You were just about to go off on a rant, which is fine.
Yeah, I'll not go off on a full blown rant. It's a Sunday. I'm chilled today, Jose. But
Okay.
the Brian Hill situation it just stinks of how bad we were getting players out the door. I mean, we signed him for what was it, 20 million plus Lamella, and
Yeah.
the guy's played how many minutes for our club? About 500. It's just a disgrace, and we can't get him gone. He's obviously not cut out for our team. Either terminate his contract or ship him out or banish him to the under 21. Just get him going. Make room for somebody else that actually wants to play and has the talent and capability to do so. Anyway, that's my rant over.
So Wayne's saying Solomon and Hill have injuries and Bissouma has run his time down at Spurs. Like Frank said, no dickheads. Perhaps the club should look at ripping up contracts and paying the players off to free up space.
Yes.
People are in their final year. They're not on the biggest wages, are they? This is not an Ndombele situation.
Yeah.
Because if you look at all the players that we're talking about, there's 4 players there, probably at the moment. The 4 players combined, would they come anywhere near what Ndombele was? I'm not sure they would.
Maybe Bissouma, but again, Bissouma's last year of his contract, cash in. There's a club willing to pay us 10 to 12 million. Bloody take it.
Same with
Solomon.
There's a lot of there's a lot of traffic saying that Galatasaray were after him and then they pulled away, and now people are saying that Fenerbahce are prepared to do a deal with him. But there's some people saying that he needs another year to get English citizenship. So maybe if he doesn't want to be sold, if he takes a loan somewhere else, he's away from the club and they pick up his salary, then he becomes a free next summer. But it means that he gets his year here in England to become a
You could do maybe a loan with an obligation compensation at the end, something like that, rather than the transfer fee.
Yeah, but as I said, he needs a year to get his English citizenship. So a loan would get him his citizenship as well.
He could go back to West Ham under his old boss Potter, who had him at Brighton. He could go back to Potter. I'm surprised West Ham haven't made a move for him because he's well within their price range, even if it's a loan or a loan to buy. There was talk of that and exchange, and the swap deals don't happen. All the deals are so complicated about doing swap deals. When the media come up, they're really desperate for column inches, you know. But I could see him going to West Ham. I mean, I did put 2 comments in the chat in of Jose of the homegrown and the non-homegrown, and we need to get that non-homegrown list down because we've only got 1 academy trained player in Austin who's been with the club for 3 years, so it is going to affect us going into the Champions League, and we need everybody we can in that Champions League. I'm confident we'll get through the 24. We won't finish 24th, so we'll get 2 playoff games, so we'll get 10 games. And then as soon as we meet the big boys, we play anything like yesterday, we're out. We're not winning it anyway, let's be fair, but we'd like a good run. I'm going to the game, so we'd like the home games, right? So we'd like a good run, wouldn't we?
You going on the lads' cruise to Bodo Glimt, are you, Adrian?
No, I'm not. No.
Oh, cheaper.
Sean will be going out there to meet Helga, though. The rumour has it.
Oh, it's a mission. It's a mission.
Vidar is here. Good afternoon. It says, to that end, a fresh report from Football Norge states that Spurs inquired about also signing explosive winger Antonio Nusa when they made their move for Simmons.
Yeah.
That's the name from the past, all right. Yeah.
So one of the most bold, radical decisions the club made when they got Ange was culling and trimming the squad. Unfortunately, we still have Solomon, Hill, and Biss.
Yeah, we want them all gone. We want those 3 gone off that list. Yeah. So.
And then, obviously, last bit is 2-week break for internationals, and we still can't break our curse. West Ham next. I suppose, gentlemen, for the West Ham game, we get 2 weeks of after tomorrow. I'm going to say it's still going to be frantic because although there's the Premiership games being played beyond today, tomorrow you've got the transfer window closing at 7:00, and after the transfer window close, then we're going to get all the meltdowns from everyone, not just Tottenham supporters, from everyone from their clubs, whether they've done enough, didn't do enough, should have done more, should have done less, coulda, shoulda, woulda. We're going to get that for 2 weeks. And we get the internationals in, and then we come back to West Ham. What are your expectations, gentlemen?
What, in this window? I still think we'll get 2 in on loan. I think there'll be loans. We'll be covering it tomorrow. Well, tonight we got a show. Ian's doing a show on the Bournemouth fiasco, and tomorrow he's doing a show from 5 till 7 till the window closes. But every podcast under the sun's going to be doing that tomorrow. So we'll see. But we still do, and people always watch us on playback. And then I do my usual show on a Tuesday. What I'm going to talk about, I don't know. I might do a historical perspective. I don't know. So I'll think of something. But yeah, Basuma to West Ham. They've just brought 2 midfielders in West Ham, which tells me Paqueta is going. I can't remember their names.
Fernandez, and I can't remember the other one, the guy from Monaco.
Yeah.
Fernandez is starting today. He starts in the lineup for West Ham today.
Right. So as they brought 2 in, I can see Paqueta going. We'll see if it is Villa on loan, because they don't want to put, he won't be on top wages at West Ham, I wouldn't have thought. Not mega wages anyway.
Right.
And maybe that is the key, the domino effect you're looking for, Jose. Maybe it is Paqueta to Villa, Morgan Rogers to City, and then we get Savinho. That would be sweet. Yeah, please do that.
I'm just trying out something different.
That's why I see Lookman as a loan. Everyone's saying buy him. Well, tactically, get him on a loan. One, he has to prove himself. Even if you've got to pay a bit extra on a normal loan fee, get him on a loan, because then you've got options open for Savinho.
But when you say prove himself, what does he need to prove?
Well, he's done well in Europe. He was rubbish at Everton and Leicester. So he hasn't proved it in the Premier League. Now, he should have enough goal. I mean, if he come on an half a good game, fans would praise him, because we look so weak on the left.
My personal opinion on Lookman, I don't think Lookman's a failure playing in the Premiership. Sure. I just think he played in really poor sides at the time. And, at the end of the day, it's a team game, right? But you've got to supply each other. You've got to, give each other the ammunition to perform. And for the clubs that he played with, who was giving him ammunition at Leicester? And who gave him ammunition at Everton?
He did look lively on the left, with very little end product. A bit the same with Garnacho at Man United. Lively on the left, always looks dangerous, makes you bite your fingernails when he's coming at you like he did in that second half in the final. But again, with no end product. But at least Lookman, he stepped up with the goals. I'm not knocking that. It's just the unknown factor. That's the only question, isn't it, about whether he can produce in the Premier League, not just look good, don't go on the left. This is the issue I have. We've got to have wingers that score goals. Even Kudus has got to step up with goals as well.
This is the problem, Adrian. No matter where you go, unless you buy a bloody Messi or Ronaldo, you don't know exactly how they're going to perform. But for me, Lookman is probably the more achievable. Is he the more sexy option? Probably not. But whether you get output for, will he have 10, 12 GA? Yeah, I would assume he would. I definitely would. But for me, just looking at the potential of the ceiling that Savio has over Lookman and what he can even do today, I would want him over Lookman. That's just personal opinion. But is he achievable? Probably not, with so little time to go. Unless, as you say, the dominoes fall.
Yeah. So I'll take him, because we need something on the left. That's why I'm saying loan, because at least then you can have a good look at him. Where's the problem? Loan to buy it. All right. If you normally loan him for 5 to 10 mil, okay, we'll give you a 10 mil. We'll give you a 10 mil loan for now, cash, with an option to buy, not an obligation.
The only issue is, do Atlanta want to take a loan, because they'll have to replace him in no time? You know, do they maybe want to say, right, we need the 35 million to go and buy our target? That's the only issue.
Yeah, but even then, even if you're doing it in a 3-year payment structure, because a lot of them are done that way instead of 5, you would still be giving them a third of the money anyway, and they'd still have that, you know, so they would still be able to go and put a down payment down on the player. If they're buying in Italy, that's the market to go for, because they're skin. They're all skin.
Better value.
Even Juve haven't even finalised the Moani deal from PSG yet, and
That's
people
right.
say our deals are slow. Well, they're not, because Man United took ages to get Mbeumo over. Like, you know, Vissa's still at Brentford. You know, there's lots of deals. Cunha, they activated his release clause on the 1st of June. They were in talks before that. How many days, we don't know. And 12 days later, they signed him. So when you're going in for quality players, the deals take longer. If you're in for the top quality players, the elite, the deals take longer. They're not.
By the way, another chess piece in the puzzle for Villa. They also want to rebuy Asensio.
Yeah, yeah. I think he'll go there. I think he'll go there because of their PSR situation. So
they will, if they want Asensio and they want Paquetá, that's 60 million combined, easily more. They will need to sell their biggest asset, and their biggest asset, as Jose has said, is Morgan Rogers.
Yeah,
you ain't going to get that amount of money for Ollie Watkins, for example.
No, not now. You're not.
No.
So see him go in there. I think now that Newcastle spent their dough, I can see is that going to Liverpool? No, but we'll see.
So Vidar says that was last year. He plays in the national team now. Then says he's better than Bob at City. He then says that Antonio Nusa is the first spot in the Norway national team. Bob from Manchester City is the second choice. Joe Blogg says maybe getting thrashed yesterday might be a blessing in disguise, given the time of the transfer window closing. I don't think we got thrashed. We were only beaten 1-0, but the performance wasn't great, and I think that's what we're referring to as the performance.
I think we can all agree that previous Spurs teams would have been thrashed, but we've got that more bite about us now. We're much better defensively, even when we play crap.
You got Wayne Bonner says, what's the latest time tomorrow clubs can make transfers? 7 o'clock in the evening is when the transfer window closes, Wayne. But as per usual, if you get a deal sheet in, but you haven't finalised everything on the dotted lines, you get a couple of hours extra. But the deal sheet, you need to confirm that the deal sheet's been put in by 7 o'clock in the evening. And then it gives you a couple of hours to finalise the details of that transfer. But for all intents and purposes, it's 7 o'clock tomorrow evening.
That's something else to mention, by the way. Turkish clubs can still sign up until, is it the 14th of September? So
Saudi, Turkey, they can all still sign.
And I think also the Scandinavians, because of the winter and how it affects their season, starts and finishes.
So the likes of Basuma or Solomon or Gill could still move out even after the window's shut.
Yeah. Girona, these clubs do take the piss, don't they? They charge the earth for their players and don't want to pay anything for anybody for an hours.
And then they turn around on the audacity and say, give us them on a free. Fuck off.
Yeah. Well, then if you're going to give them on the free, then you say to the player, you either make the move to this club or we're just going to let you run your contract down and you're not going to play this season. And that could happen with Gill. So he'll be encouraged to move. Girona want Gill. I mean, we're only talking 8.5 million. To get 5 mil for him, 5 million English, and let him go.
Yeah.
I mean, Basuma would be on what? I don't know, 80k a week, I suppose, something like that.
I'll find out now.
Yeah. So
Mr. M's coming and says, morning, gentlemen. Tell Chang, Adrian, and the other bloke is blind.
Well, according to Adrian, I'm called Ballon. So
yeah. And then he says, Wenger out, come on, you Spurs. Nice to see you, Mr. M. It's been a while. He says, Akanji and Savinha in, please. We missed Grealish again, says Mr. M. Elias Rotis is coming and says, apparently United still want Martinez, do they? Good luck to them. How many shots on target yesterday? Not that many. Not that many, Mr. M. And the Cockney Hotspur is coming and says, morning, how's Adrian? And the third geezer, God bless. And Coy's Tottenham till I die. Keeping it real and hitting the likes. The third chap and the other bloke is this person here. It's Blaine from Super Spurs TV. And he says, yeah, Basuma's annual wage at Tottenham Hotspur is 2.86 million. which works approximately 555 grand a week. So what I said, he's now known as the other geezer, brilliant. So like I said, Blaine, earlier, if you put Bissouma, Hill, Solomon, and is there somebody else that I was saying? But anyway, if you put them three together, their salaries together, they don't come nowhere near the salary that that Endon Bailey was on.
No.
And then Bailey's contract got ripped up. So to me, like I'm saying, I know it's awful. It's mismanagement of the club and that, the shit that we've done in the past. But these three can go, right? And we'll get, you can let them go on the free and just trim your squad. It's either that or you put them on the naughty step and you just don't play them at all.
So reportedly, if we were to terminate Hill's salary, it would cost us about 1.5 mil.
In it for a year.
For a year.
But they're already into the year because we're going to be in September tomorrow and their contracts run out in June. So it's 10 months left.
Yeah. No, that's taking up to today.
Okay. All right. Okay.
His whole year was like just shy of 2 mil.
Okay.
So if it's 1.5, you can say, well, look, we'll give you a mil if you go now.
But if you've got, if you look at 2.86, 1.5 mil, and how much is Solomon?
Find out now. I would say probably about the same.
So that's 4.3 mil at the moment. You're not reaching nowhere near Ndombele standards. Ndombele was on like 10.
Apparently, Solomon's earning more than Bissouma. He's on 65 grand a week.
Okay, so that's another 3 million then, right? So that comes to what, 7.3 million in a year, right? Or in the last 10 months of their contracts. Ndombele was in excess of was he 10 to 12 million?
Something ludicrous, yeah.
So 3 players that you get rid of are a lot less than Ndombele was.
Yeah, and you could actually loan them out without asking for a loan fee just to cover their wages.
And that's what I was saying earlier about Bissouma.
Right? Which even to Girona and all that, because Bissouma's on his last year, he can dig his heels in and say, I'm going to run down my contract. And he might get half a dozen games this season, right? He'd still be in the squad, but he's a foreign. He's not going to be added to champion.
The other thing, Jen, says we don't really need to care about wage structure at the minute. We've got so much headroom. We could sign another 3 players at 200 grand a week and still not even be over 70% turnover ratio. Yeah. It's that isn't the problem. The problem is getting the players in the door and getting them signed, and then shipping out the draws.
And those 3 players are non-homegrown as well. So if you're bringing in Simons, and I did post a non-homegrown up there. I didn't count them, Jose. We've got too many. In a normal situation, you would have 17. You'd be at 8 homegrown and 17 for the ECL. But we've only got 1 academy trained player now. Actually, John from the Cheese Room, good guy, John. He was putting me right on my understanding of this rule. But you are penalised if you haven't got the 4 academy trained over 3 years. It might be over your total squad numbers rather than foreign players coming in. But any foreign player coming in like Akanji wants ECL football. So we brought in Paulina, he's going to want it. We brought in Kudus, he's going to want it. If you get Akanji, he's going to want it. If you get Lookman, he's going to want it. So this is where who do you leave out? I mean, last year in January, we left out Dragerson because he was injured. We left out Kinski, the goalkeeper, and we left out Werner. Good job. Best decision Ange made, right? Apart from winning that cup. And we brought in Tell, Danso, and Spence because we couldn't fit them others in. So
this season, Adrian, do you leave out Kulusevski because he's still injured until New Year? Madison because he's out for the year.
Kula will be back. He might be back before Christmas. I think there's a bit of about him. It was a knee injury.
But he's not going to be available for like the first 4 game weeks in the Champions League.
No, he'd probably be going. The second squad has to be announced in January, and then I think you're only allowed to bring in 1 new player into that list. Like if you buy him, get a transfer target in. So if it's a foreign player in January, like Slovenia, it complicates matters.
Do you leave Tell out then? I think you have to. But then what does Tell? Would Tell still not count their under 21 list?
We got, scrolling back, non-homegrown, Vicario 1, Kingsley 2, Udogi 3, Porro 4, Romero 5, VDV 6, Paulinus 7, Kulusevski 8, Bentancur 9, Bergville 10, Pulis 11, Odebert 12, Tel 13, Richarlison 14, Simmons 15. That's 15 if you get rid of Basuma, Solomon, and Gill. That's 15, which I'm not sure now because John Cheeseman put me right. I think I was wrong about my previous thing that it affects the non-homegrown more than, but it just might mean you've got to have a reduced squad instead of 25. As only got, that mean we only have a squad of 22 for the Champions League. So even at 15 and the 15 with the 8 homegrown, Austin Spence, Danso Davis, that's why you can't get rid of him. Gray, Johnson, that's why you can't get rid of Johnson. Madison, even though he's injured, he's homegrown, and Solanke. So there's 8 homegrown. Now I'd only question my understanding this on Gray because of his age. Maybe it's 7 and not 8. I'm not quite sure on that. So that's 23. So straight away we're 1 over for the Champions League if we're penalised.
So you leave out Madison because he's injured for the season. You leave out Kulu, you leave out Tell. That gives you a bit of room.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I haven't added to that non-home list. I haven't put Dragerson in there. So I'm remiss. So after the show, I'm going to give myself a big talking to, right? I'm upstairs in front of the mirror, pointing fingers.
Just maybe to divert back then to what you're saying about what's up next. So get through the international period without any injuries, please. that's a big one for me. Let's come back healthy and happy. West Ham is always their cup final. So, you know.
International duty. I mean, who's going to actually be away?
Well, looking at the 11 that started yesterday, and I thought about this yesterday when I was at the game. Spence now being called for international duty meant all 11 players that played yesterday, started the game, will all be going to international duty. All 11. I'm not even looking at the subs bench, but even the subs bench, you're looking at that. Bergvall will be called up. Odebert, Tell will be called up for their respective unders. Solomon's going to be called up for Israel. You look at the bench as well. Davis will be called for
Austria.
Danso's go. All the players on the bench are going to go to the respective countries as
and
well.
Xavi Simmons will be playing for Holland.
Yeah, you're going to have a bare Tottenham Hotspur because even the younguns, even some of the youngsters have been called up for the under 17s, 18s, 19s, and 20s for England. So you're looking at basically Thomas Frank and his coaches will probably be doing a lot of work on tactics and stuff like that, and doing a lot of the homework on teams coming up because they're going to have no players to flex about with till at least the very earliest will be Monday week, depending who plays when on what days. But the earliest you're going to get some internationals back will be Monday week. The latest you get them back will be Wednesday evening.
Right. Let me bring this up for you. I've got a copy of it from my show.
So, Mr. M says, I miss Clinton NG and Kudo, Endembele, Vlad Kirikis, Raziak, etc. Nape says 18 non-homegrown and 8 homegrown by your list, says Nape. Queen Ellie says that Solomon is stealing a living and then says Endembele is the biggest talent but the laziest footballer ever. Joe Bloggs says Solomon was a typical Levy bargain basement signing. Well, he's a free, weren't he? Nape says, I think that Lookman counts as homegrown.
Would he?
He played in England.
Danso does.
Simmons is our Dutch master. He's a scorer, spectacular goal, says the Queen. And Paul Pablo is here, says, hi, Jose. Good afternoon to you, Paul. I hope you're well. Adrian, what was you going to say?
I brought it up because this has been all sorted. This is the Champions League draw, and we're at home.
I know, but this is something to talk about for me nearer the time. I mean, West Ham comes before all this, and so this international break.
What I wanted before this was made, I said, what I want, because we got an international break, didn't know what the result of yesterday's game was. I said, I just wanted the first game at home, and we've got it against Villarreal after West Ham. So we play West Ham on a Saturday and Villarreal on a Tuesday. So I wanted the home games first. So it'd be interesting, be fun. I love them night games in Europe. I love them.
Well,
speaking of, I'm hoping to come over for a couple pre-Christmas, Adrian. So if I am, I'll give you a shout. Meet up for a
Yeah,
pint.
I mean, they'll. I mean,
Pre-Christmas, we got Liverpool on the 20th of December. I know that.
Yeah.
We got Liverpool on the 20th.
Now, Frank hasn't been tested with a game every 3 days, and he's going to have this break to get his head together. Look at the oppositions coming up. No doubt he'll be studying them, Jose, as you alluded to earlier, training and all that. He'll be having a good look at these teams we're going to be playing. The next few, I should imagine he'll look at the next few league games. He'll focus on the ones that are nearer, obviously. But if I was him, I'd be looking at videos and stuff on Villarreal and West Ham, And then we're back away to Bodo again after that. The fortnight after that, it's a fortnight after Villarreal, so it's a ways to go. But I'm just glad to be in the competition.
Right. I'm coming to the end of the show, mate, because I've got to keep it under 2 hours. I've got 5 minutes. So, Blaine, any last comment? Well, Blaine, first of all, can I thank you very much for finally grabbing hold of you and coming on?
No,
hopefully, this will be the first. Hopefully, this will be the first of more, because I love your takes. You didn't lose your rag this time round, but I love it when you lose your rag as well.
Hold on, I'm bloody level-headed. Come on.
Too early this season for meltdowns, anyway.
Yeah,
it doesn't take much to set our fans off.
Adrian, it's too soon for a meltdown. Give me another couple of games.
Any final thoughts, Blaine, before we shoot off?
I think let's not read too much into the defeat yesterday. Right, cool. This is the start of a brand new regime. There's a big turnover of players happening. I think we get 1 or 2 more in tomorrow. We get to January. We might see a new striker being looked at in January. Yeah. Keep evolving. I think Frank has got a pragmatic head on him. Let's see what happens. I like him, but I'm not going to judge him purely based upon 2 or 3 games. And please, to the fan base, please don't. I've seen some absolutely ridiculous comments yesterday. It was just like, come on,
No Frank out in the chats.
Adrian, for you, thank you for coming on. What's your final thoughts?
I'm not changing my take on how our season will go. I still think we'll finish anywhere between 5th and 7th this year. I think that's about, and I actually think we'll nick a domestic cup, either the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup. I think if you get the good draws at home, I think success usually follows success. When you've got a team that squad's not quite there, but you can do it, because when we did have the squad and we won trophies, we followed on with success. When we didn't have it in 2008 with One Day Road, we didn't follow on with anything or underground, So, but this squad's much better than those squads were. So, I'm expecting us to have a good season.
Fantastic. Well, listen, thank you both for coming on, and for Chang earlier. I've got to say thank you to Peter Kagayas for gifting 5 channel memberships. And from me and from everyone else, my final thoughts are, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Tell, Cockerel. He's just a true guy.